Well, hello again. I hope you're all well. Now, I know a few of you as expats, when you watch these videos, get quite nostalgic for the northeast, the various locations we go around. Honestly, you're better off where you are, I trust you, and that includes the guy in Siberia as well who messages me. Here is Gateshead in summertime. July the 15th, and we've had thunder, we've had lightning, we've had a rainstorm that at one point threatened to see the game abandoned, and I'm actually regretting wearing a gilet, not because I'm too warm. I wish I'd upgraded to an overcoat. And this is pre-season, so there you have it. Grey skies above Tyneside. So yeah, a lot to talk about. First video back after a little bit of a summer break. We're here, of course, for Newcastle's first pre-season match of the summer in inverted commas, of course. And I'll start with the game because the big news to come from today, and the story I've subsequently written for the Mail on Sunday, Mail Online, was Eddie Howe's comments afterwards with regards budget. Yeah, I'm going to dare to go there again, talk about budget. I look forward to the comments on that one. But first of all, the match. Newcastle won 3-2. Not that they looked like winning after 45 minutes, when they deservedly, for me, trailed 2-0. Now, the only thing to match the thunder in the skies was the thunder in the Newcastle dressing room. Eddie Howe didn't hide that afterwards, said he wasn't at all happy with his players, tore into them after 45 minutes, and too right he should. I thought they were poor. Listen, they've only been back in training for a week, and I'm not going to go overboard, we're not jumping to any conclusions, or I had to write for the Mail on Sunday, five things we've learned. Well, you learn nothing really from these games, do you? You can have 5 talking points, but you can't come away making drawing conclusions. Absolutely not. But we're here to talk about what we saw. So yeah, 45 minutes. It was go back to before kick-off. They started with 5 left backs, Newcastle, and the irony is they're actually in the market still for a new left back, aren't they? So, but yeah, it was a little bit of a disjointed team in terms of formation. But that said, they're still professional players from a top flight club up against players 4 or 5 divisions below them in the National League. So you would expect better than what we saw in that first half. I'm not going to pick on players, but Sean Longstaff, having been for me the surprise and the unsung hero of last season, he was sloppy. I think you'd admit that himself. Gave away the ball for the first goal, and then the second one right on half time. The young defender Remy Savage, who came in, was caught a little bit of hesitancy, and Gateshead punished Newcastle. And I thought Gateshead were good. I honestly thought they had a lovely player in midfield who spent 11 years at Man United as a youngster. He had a little bit of a look at Sandro Tonali about him. Actually, I thought he was very good for them. Tonali, by the way, was just in the stands next to us, along with the likes of Bruno and Joe Linton, players who will come back in for Tuesday up at Rangers, we're told. And how Newcastle need it, really, of course, it's about minutes in the legs, all the usual cliches which we're not going to go through. But yeah, they just were missing that little bit of quality at times there in the first half. The second half was much better. I thought the little change in formation in terms of how Newcastle looked up front made a big difference. Elliot Anderson, having been out in midfield, went to almost a centre forward position. Alan Saint-Maximin went back to his favourite position on the left, and those two players combined, I thought, made the difference. Even though I must say, I thought Saint-Max, as he has a tendency to do when he doesn't have a run in games, he can look a little bit heavy, a little bit sluggish at times. I certainly saw he looked that in the first half, but second half he was better. Anderson scores a good goal, then lays on the equaliser for Saint-Maximin. It's 2-2, and then there's a whole host of changes made, and 2 of the young lads who came on combined. Louis Miley clips the ball over the top, and Jay Turner-Cook with a wonderful finish, and for 3-2. And on the balance of the second half, that outcome was probably just about right. A quick word on one of the boys I mentioned there, Louis Miley, who actually finished the game with the armband, and a lovely moment as well. His older brother Jamie came on and was instructed by Eddie Howe to put the armband on his younger sibling. The two of those together on the pitch as first team Newcastle players. What as someone who's got 3 little boys myself, I can only think of what their parents thought looking at their 2 boys on the pitch together. I thought that was nice, and it's not just nice and sentimental. Louis Miley, he's a player, honestly. He came on, I was down there on the last day of the season down at Chelsea. He came on for his debut and he hit the bar, didn't he? He probably should have scored given the sort of technical ability he's got. He cracked the bar from the edge of the box, but he came on there again today, and I know how well they think of him within the club. You know, Eddie and his coach and stuff. And I've had conversations off the record with a few of them about Louis Miley, and he's one who, while he's not going to be pushing for a start this season, you know, he might only be limited to a handful of appearances here and there, but I think he deserves just to be in and around that first team squad and just see how he can kick on. But a really tall, elegant player, great technical ability, and a one to watch this season. It'll be exciting to see his development. So yeah, he was a positive. Elliot Anderson was a positive. A couple of flashes of St Max were positive, albeit, you know, I thought how he looked in the first half was more of a concern. But yeah, let's not read too much into things, but we can read into. That's what we're here for. Eddie Howe's post-match comments, and we had about 7 or 8 minutes with him there, just down on the running track, and the main talking point, it's all us guys as journalists want to know about, and probably what you guys as supporters want to know about too. You know, transfers, where are you at, what's happening, what's the budget, are you frustrated, are you happy, are you sad? We asked him all of that, and to summarise, taking the key lines from the little story I've just filed for the Mail on Sunday there, he admitted to the word frustration. He used that. Now, is that frustration with the market, or is that frustration with what he's actually able to do from within the parameters of Newcastle's budget? Well, I think it's a little bit of everything. Now, budget, here we go. I wrote the story, didn't I, back in May, when I revealed that the numbers Eddie Howe and his recruitment team had been given were an initial cash budget of somewhere around £75 million, with scope to push that back to £100 million if they were creative with the numbers and, you know, players coming and going, that sort of thing. You know, there was that wiggle room. I've heard nothing different in the intervening weeks, months to suggest that has changed. They've spent £52 million of that on Sandro Tonali. So yeah, now they are having to get, as Eddie Howe admitted, get creative. The key quotes to come from what he's just told us were the words, "We're not working with a huge budget, and they are working to a strict budget." And he said, yeah, you know, he used that word creative twice, just as I've done as well. And where do we think they're at? Well, I think I said this earlier in the week. You know, the two deals which are live but not close, I think I said this on Tuesday, Wednesday time, are Harvey Barnes of Leicester and Tino Livramento down at Southampton. Now, I've just asked Eddie Howe there, you know, is anything close? He said no, nothing is close, and that, as of yesterday morning, was my understanding. Negotiations, talks are ongoing. Over Barnes, I think, is the primary target for now, but also Livramento, the fullback, is bubbling there in the background. Now, what do supporters think of this? What do us as journalists think of this? Is it all a bluff? Have Newcastle, like they did last summer, got £60 million down the back of the sofa there, ready to splash on someone if a deal becomes viable, or they need to do that, as they did with Alexander Isak, of course? We don't know. Only time will tell in that regard. As a reporter, I can only tell you what I'm being told, and that is that money, because of FFP, is tight. And to that extent, Eddie has almost been a victim of his own success, because he's the sole reason Newcastle's journey has been accelerated far quicker and to a far greater extent than they ever imagined, or probably, you know, faster than the club was actually ready for. And because of that, he's put a Champions League team he's put the team into the Champions League. Yet, is there the financial scope there to give him a squad ready for the Champions League? Probably not, and that would be a concern, because they do need it. While I do think they've got a very good, excellent crop of sort of 14, 15 players, and I think they've got a brilliant manager and a wonderful coaching staff, and the momentum and the feel good of a club, they'll be okay next year. You know, I wouldn't be worried about that. I think they'll be just fine. I think they'll do well in the Champions League, but nonetheless, when it comes to juggling all those competitions, the two domestic, the Premier League and the Champions League, they do need greater depth, as we saw last season by the manner in which they struggled from January onwards, when they're trying to run the Premier League and the Carabao Cup alongside one another. So they do need greater depth, and Eddie knows that. And I thought one of the most telling things he said to us just down there was that he didn't want new players, they needed new players. He made a point of differentiating between those two words, want and need, and Newcastle do do need those extra options, because they're going to be faced with a scenario whereby they're going to be playing on a Wednesday night away in Milan, for argument's sake, and then coming back and having a Premier League fixture on the Saturday, and for that you almost need two 11s. Now, in the isolation of the business they've done and looks like they're going to do, I still think Harvey Barnes probably will happen. I think it's definitely a one from what I'm told from the player's behalf. I think he would love to make the move up here to Newcastle. If you were bringing in Tonali at 50-52 and Harvey Barnes at sort of 30-35 perhaps, and that is the bulk of that initial cash budget gone, then I think those would be two wonderful additions. I really do, and you're improving 1/5 of your outfield starters. So, while supporters might want more in terms of those real marquee names, for want of a better phrase, I do think that in terms of improving the first team would be good, would be sufficient. You're then looking at that depth, and that might be where loans come in. The loan markets is something which doesn't really become an option until the final weeks of the window. But from the conversations I've had, it is something Newcastle will almost have to, not the want to explore, they're going to have to explore because of those budgetary restrictions. He says that, and they'll probably go and break the transfer record in late August, as we saw last summer. But anyway, that's a little just quick update from it's absolutely pouring down again now. From Gateshead. I'm away down to the schooner for a quick pint. I hope my wife doesn't watch this video, she's expecting me back. But yeah, me and the boys from Newcastle World and the Shields Gazette are going to have a little bit of a catch up. First time we've seen each other in a few weeks, first time I've spoken to you as well. Now, loads more content to come over the course of the next couple of weeks. I'll be up at Rangers on Tuesday, when again I think we could see the likes of Tonali and Gordon and Bruno and Joe Linton maybe on the bench and involved. So that should be good. I'll then be flying to America next Friday, and all host of content to come from there across this YouTube channel, Daily Mail, Mail Online, Mail Plus, all the rest of it. Should be really exciting, really looking forward to it. Thanks again for watching, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I'm about to brave that. Wish me luck. Take care. Bye bye.